Sadly, many people feel sad, thinking that they are inferior somehow. As a chubby little girl, my average exterior was my inferior somehow. That long-term feeling I longed to counteract. So the very first actor suggested that I act. Celebrities do tend to please, so I figured if I could become one, then I too could please, and my life could be one of ease, a breeze. Once an avid reader, I later spent time on looks instead of books, hoping to be discovered and become a rising star by someday being as beautiful as most supermodels are. As the years went by, my mind was being molded by Hollywood. My focus was fortune and fame and looking good. Movies and TV shows convinced me that a cute exterior would make me superior. Subsequently, on the proverbial back burner were education and character. I remember quite clearly, like it was, well, maybe not yesterday, but fairly recently, when, at the tender age of 10, I had a hair salon appointment that was, at first, a disappointment. The salon where my mother was told to go was appropriately named Canned Ego. With long flowing locks I walked in, but I later walked out with a bob way up to my chin. My ponytail had been cut off above a rubber band. My face wore a frown as I walked to the car, holding that hair in my hand. Back at home, grieving the loss, I felt all the more inferior. But in frequenting a wall mirror, oddly enough, my reflection soon became dearer. But when confidence quickly became pride, my former humility gradually died. As recent years have gone by, thankfully pride has slowly died. With increasing aversion to my reflection, mirrors and cameras are increasingly unwelcome. When reflecting on reflections that are deteriorating, it's quite relieving to know that it's a blessing. For being more humble makes us more approachable for others. We're also less likely to stumble or to be stumbling blocks to others. But we must not just pretend, merely acting humble to prevent community mumble. I wasn't a good teacher of humility when looking at mostly me, and me. It was actually a multiple phase by God's grace, the process of accepting my aging face. These wrinkles, sags, and eye bags didn't develop overnight, for God has mercy and allows things perfectly right. Pride diminishes until it finally vanishes. Unless, of course, we cling to it, insisting that we die with it. Each time we let go more of self, we're actually more fit for God's kingdom. It's His loving way to help us get there, a sign of His love and wisdom. Some say it's not a salvation issue whether or not we strut, but it is. To those who have pride left inside, heaven's pearly gates will be shut. As our example, God's Son came to live on earth. Though far above average in every other way, Jesus had average looks from the day of His birth. He wasn't ugly, but indeed veiled His beauty, so onlookers would not sin, so that those in His circle of influence wouldn't ever desire Him. Beauty is fleeting, this we've been told. It's all the more true the more we grow old. As I've aged, that saddening feeling returned, my childlike fear of being cruelly spurned. Since I no longer turn heads like before, I've sometimes thought, why the rejection when I'm the same person as before? Then the Holy Spirit would remind me, thankfully you're not the same person as before. You're daily reflecting Yeshua more and more. I've been strongly convicted that I should never feel rejected for looking at this point in life somehow inferior. Thankfully, God looks past the exterior. He's interested in our interior, our character. Will others view us the same? Will we view others the same? A loving interior should actually be everyone's aim.